This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Are you sorry? Are you heartfully sorry for all that you have done? Well, it doesn't matter, for now is the time of your just punishments. Hello, friends. Welcome once again to Just Punishments, the Southgate Media Capes and Lunatics broadcast for The Punisher on Netflix. Final season, season 2. Tonight's episode, My Brother's Keeper, season 2, episode 8. Painful memories take a hold of Russo. Frank's frustration frightens those closest to him. Madani receives a visitor bearing a warning. Our director this week is Michael Offer. We have Jerry Conway and John Romita Sr. getting our Marvel writing credits. Ross Andrew also gets a Marvel Comics credit as well. Steve Lightfoot gets our created by. Bruce Marshall Romans gets our written by this week. Our executive story editor this week is Angela LaManna, and just so she can boss someone around, Ken Christensen is our hardest working story editor in show business this week. So after the whole fight goes south last episode,
right?
They get away with the money, but Frank he freezes up. He freezes up on Billy and he lets him go. And we're opening up now, and Billy is in a state of shock because he's realizing that Frank has been what is the skull that's been chasing him in his dreams. And this is overwhelming to him. And, he doesn't know why. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know why their relationship fell apart. Now, we do, of course, because we're smart. And we saw the previous episodes. We know what happened, which is that Billy murdered Frank's family. And that's what we have to work through, that's what we've worked through that Billy can't even comprehend yet. It's an interesting scene when they do get back to the hideout. First, we actually have catching Frank. Curtis actually has to come in and save him. Yeah, he gets saved a lot in this,
Well, like you said, a lot of people care about him.
Yeah, although, I think it's fair to say this episode and the ensuing episodes that care for Frank, it's getting stretched real thin.
Well, right, yeah, but at the same time, they also recognize that he's their best and only shot. Also, so there is a bit of that too,
Well, I mean, it depends on the situation.
Somebody's got to take out the garbage.
Someone's got to take out the garbage, but, again, we have to ask, is Frank the guy to do it? Because, once again, when he has the shot, he doesn't take it because there is too much there for him. There's too much that he's never even tried to process, and that is the problem, is Frank is not in a position to really address his issues with Billy. Billy, meanwhile, of course, is likewise completely out of it right now. And when we do get back to his hideout, we see that there is a conflict starting to brew already. As with any tale of thieves, they have the money, but now, who has to split it up? And we find out that the hostage was actually also an inside guy. So they basically had two inside guys here. And the security guy is also giving Billy a lot of lip about, his plan, how, it all went south because, Billy couldn't keep it together, yada, yada, yada.
I love that he says, the Punisher showed up and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, the Punisher showed up. Maybe it's not, Russo's fault, but maybe it's the fact that Punisher showed up. It's like Batman showing up. You're not going to get away with your plan anymore,
Although, they didn't get away with their plan, and truth be told, it is Billy's fault that the Punisher showed up.
They know that? Or?
No, I don't. Well, clearly he knows Billy.
I guess, yeah.
So because he's calling Billy out by name, and they're both really freaking out about it. So it doesn't take a lot to put two and two together. But, Billy will not be questioned, and he shoots both the hostage who was looking for a bigger cut and the security guy. Then he walks off with the money, and nobody says boo.
Yeah, that thought that was funny. He didn't tell him like show up next Wednesday or I'm gonna split it up. He's just like this is mine now, or like what?
Well,
Nobody chose him, I guess.
well, because he just shot two guys, and
Yeah,
and as we said previously, as much as these guys definitely think of themselves as wannabe Rambos, this is a real Rambo they're dealing with. They know who Billy is. They know what Billy is capable of. They just saw what Billy is capable of.
yeah,
And they maybe don't want to go cross that chip. The fact of the matter is that if they can have some distance, maybe Billy just needs to think on this. But if it gets to be this issue, then hey, if nothing else, they can always rat out Billy, So, but yeah, I thought that was a very interesting turn of events with that. You get
Mahoney visiting Madani too.
Mahoney visiting Madani, where they kind of lay their cards out. And man, I feel for Mahoney in this.
Like he's a higher up in the police, and people keep like beating him up and like without consequence.
Oh yeah, well not only that, but he knows. First off, he knows Madani. As he said, she knows she has Frank on speed.
Right.
She knows She knows this is not the gee Willikers, I didn't know kind of thing. He knows he's being played, and he's trying to play it as best he can. So he's trying to see if he can get her to recognize and accept that, he's trying to do the right thing and to not be a party to this anymore. That,
Right.
Frank's got and she knows that Frank has a friend, and she knows who, he knows that he knows that she knows everything that he's telling her right now.
Right.
And it is just a frustration for him because, yeah, like you said, he is trying to be a cop and he does not buy into, this isn't Daredevil. The
Right.
Punisher is not Daredevil. There's a lot of cops who maybe are okay with the Punisher, but he's not Daredevil. He's not a guy who's actually really trying to help you, necessarily. And so he is not buying into the Punisher's line, especially since the Punisher is getting these walks because it's more embarrassing to the feds to have Frank, be out there. It's they're trying to cover their own butts, and he knows that's why Frank's out there, because he's got something on these guys.
Well, not just that, but I mean, like the reason he's out there is because he did a favor to the FBI. That's why he's been allowed to continue to be out there. So it's like he is like still serving society in a way,
Did he do them a favor, or was he just too dangerous to let, to put into the system?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like more of a stretch than, hey, we were all gonna be up, Schitt's Creek without a paddle, but this guy saved us, so okay, he's out there, and we don't know how to handle him. And if we just leave him alone, he's probably a lot easier to handle.
Yeah, well, we saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
I love
problem.
like she throws her weight around at him too. He's like, hey, listen, man, you can bark up that tree if you want, but you'll be doing dex duty for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And she's probably right because she was him in the past season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. She understands it as well, but I still feel for Mahoney because really, of all the people we've met in the whole Netflix universe, I really feel Mahoney is like the one guy who's really on the level. He's like the one good cop in New York,
Right. But maybe who also doesn't truly get it. He has to be the straight man to the punchline guy,
Yeah. Well, that's how the story works, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a good scene with them together there, and I do like that.
I do feel bad for the guy though.
We also see Billy have his confrontation with Krista, his doctor, Dr. Dumont.
Dr. Love.
Yeah, Dr. Love. Well, eventually, but there's a lot of, man, I tell you, Billy you can see how unstable he is.
Yeah.
Where, especially when he gets to, because he kind of, first he comes in and he's like, oh, I need you to help me. I need you to help me get square. And then he's like, oh, you knew all along. You've been playing me and manipulating me.
Yeah,
And
that
she's
was
like,
just like the paranoia and the no person to talk back to for a second running amok in his mind, right? That's all that was.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it was, but it's also just to show that, yeah, he is unstable. You
Right,
know,
right, right,
that
right, right.
he really,
That's what I meant.
his
Right.
emotions aren't. He doesn't have the, normally we have governors in our heads. Governor on an engine. It's something that basically it uses it's a very interesting device, but basically as you start to speed up, it sort of slows the engine down by redirecting the energy that you're putting into the engine. So it like puts, it basically it's something that if you ever see like on like certain like sci-fi machines, you'll see that there's this little spinning thing with the two balls at the end. And basically that's an actual device that's used in, basically it allows the device to maintain a constant speed.
Okay.
So that's what a governor is. There we go. A little bit of engineering knowledge for y'all. But we all have these governors in our heads that sort of like help us to maintain the keel. Even when we're getting upset, we can still, our frontal lobes can sort of say, okay, everyone calm down. Let's sort of focus on what we need to do. But he's got the damage there, and so once it gets in his head, he starts freaking out, and she tells him to find the three blue things, and he says, "Is this blue? Is this blue?" and smashes it. It's really showing how violent and dangerous this guy is.
Right. It's like he constantly keeps trying to let her know, this is what I'm going to do to you, and she keeps thinking that she can better him or something. I don't know.
Well, she can, she believes she can save him. She
Right.
believes that, for no matter how damaged he is, he can be made better.
Yeah.
And I think he is sorely mistaken.
Right.
Um,
I think at a certain point you've done too much damage to the soul, and you are irredeemable.
well, and also, and this I think is an important point, because she doesn't really know
That's true.
Billy's backstory.
Right.
So, she didn't know that the Punisher attacked him. She knows what crimes he committed, but she doesn't really know, for example, that he was a sociopath long before this moment. That,
Right.
even if you got him back to factory defaults, those factory defaults are still a dangerous, dangerous man.
Right.
We also we do get back with Amy, who is going a bit stir crazy, but it is kind of nice. She has a very nice scene when Frank's going off on his own, because Frank really kind of freaks out,
Right.
and he has to sort of sort out what he needs to do after basically after Curtis and him go and they find the warehouse where they're staying, and they see that that the hostage was shot, who they still think was a hostage. So they think the hostage was an innocent, and that Billy shot him. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Prior to that, they still have Jake. They still have Jake, and they go to interrogate him again,
Hmm. Right. Oh,
and
God, yeah.
to figure out where Billy's hiding. And and Frank has the flashback. First off, you know, Curtis telling him, you can't do this. You're acting just like Billy.
Hmm.
And of course, for Frank, this is the whole thing: is he wants to believe he's not like Billy. He's not just a killer,
Right.
or he's not just a killer for killing's sake. He's on a mission. He's protecting people. He's doing something not for himself but for others.
It's funny.
And
She points it out, Amy does, that he's just got an itch and got to scratch it. Like, that's what, it's interesting to know that that's what she truly believes about him.
well, and I think there's an argument to be made for that.
Right. Right.
I think there is a very strong argument that, yeah, he is absolutely scratching his itches.
Mm-hmm.
He is absolutely pulling it along and really causing himself trouble with this. Um, we get Curtis and Amy back together, and I really love the Curtis and Amy scenes when they're
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
because they actually do. First of all, I like her sort of practicing with the shotgun.
Yeah.
You know, unload, reload, unload, reload, unload, reload. You know, which comes for a funny a joke later when but Donnie does come in, says, that's dangerous. You're gonna shot me. He said, no, I couldn't. I forgot to reload it. Yeah, that was delightful. Um,
Yeah.
but her and Curtis talking, and and for what it's worth, she is, she's deflecting well on Curtis. She's not letting him get too close, but when she really says, what do you want to do? And she does marine salvage. And at first he thinks she's joking, but then she's like, no, I saw a documentary on that once, and you go into the water, and if you find treasure, you get to keep it.
Yeah.
Which obviously there's a lot more to it than just that. But
Right. Is that what she thought she was doing with the photos? Like, did she really have like a more sneaky of a hand into the fallout of this whole situation, or was she just an innocent bystander? As innocent
oh
as
no, she
all an
well
errand boy.
she's Oliver Twist. She is.
But is she
She's.
though? Is
I'm
she
sorry.
worse than that?
Well, maybe she's the Artful Dodger, but she's part of Fagin's gang.
Mm.
So she's not, she's a minor,
Mm.
Under 18, because they won't be doing any time as the song goes.
Mm.
She is a minor, and she was part of this little criminal gang with this little Fagin type, who was, basically corralling and controlling these street kids to run her cons.
Mm.
Smart lady in her own right, I'm sure. Although I'm sure she, isn't the coolest person in the long run too. Although that's not an issue for them anymore because they're all dead now. But so no, she wasn't living her dream. She was just, this was her job. This was her way of survival.
Right.
And I'm sure she maybe she has this idea that maybe one day I'll get out of this and I'll be able to actually go do this. But as she points out, she's never been to the ocean and she doesn't know how to swim. So so she has a few steps she has to do before she can actually pursue that. But I like that scene because we do see in that this starting that basically there is this building negativity towards Frank,
Right.
and about what
Right.
he's putting everyone through. And then when Madani does come there, and they're basically kind of discussing, how should we handle Mahoney?
Mm.
Because not for nothing, Frank isn't going to kill Russo. So the whole let the Punisher handle the Jigsaw theory, that's not really working at this point.
Mm.
And so we're kind of left in this lurch. Meanwhile, Billy comes back to his gang, and again, you're right. He doesn't say, "Oh, meet me back here at 8 or something,"
Right.
or meet me. Yeah, I'm guessing he called them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Went to a payphone and said, be at this place at 8 o'clock, and we're going to sort it out. And then he comes there, and he basically leaves the money and tells them they can split it up. But then does Bud, if you really want to get some money.
God, who falls for that? I mean, like, I guess he really left them no choice because the moment any of them picked up the money and turned their back, they would have had a bullet in it.
I mean, that's an argument to be made. Although there is another argument to be made that maybe you could, I'm sure have you heard of the marshmallow experiment?
The delayed gratification thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That, you give a kid a marshmallow and you tell him, okay, you can either eat this stale marshmallow,
Right.
or if you can wait until I get back, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. And and they found that the kids who could wait, they had better outcomes. But they also never explored the question of what if a kid just said, I just want to eat the marshmallow now. I'm not going to trust that you're going to come back with another marshmallow. I'm going to eat this marshmallow because there's a marshmallow right in front of me right now. And I would rather have the marshmallow I have rather than imagining that there's some hypothetical, theoretical second marshmallow.
Well, that's sort of, therein lies the problem with a lot of these quote-unquote scientific studies, is that there's so much inference that needs to be done about the intention of the subject that you can't really tell. So
yeah. basically they only tested the kids who either ate the marshmallow right away or the kids who, I mean, unless they didn't give. It's also possible that maybe sometimes they run it and they don't give the kid a choice and say, "Don't eat this marshmallow, but I'll give you two when I get back." But honestly, that just kids are going to see through that logic too. Just go, well, if you're going to let me eat two anyway, I'm just going to eat this thing marshmallow.
Yeah.
And really, when you look into the original experiment, it got kind of because sometimes they wouldn't come back with that second marshmallow for like 2-3 hours for like
Oh, jeez.
an 8-year-old kid. It's like, good God, man.
It's
I don't think this marshmallow is
38-year-old man. Give me that marshmallow now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I've always felt that there are there's an entire question about kids that would just take the immediate gratification now rather than worry about whether or not there's a potential gratification later, and would be upfront about it.
Right.
And rather than saying, "Oh, I'll wait to have the second marshmallow," just say, "No, I'll have this now." My son's like that. He'll always just take the bird in the hand. He says, "No, I'll take this one. That's fine. I don't need anything else. This is good."
Yeah. First parking spot you see, you pull in and you start walking towards your store.
I got legs. I can still walk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they put the handicapped ones up front for the people that don't have legs. It's like, okay, you need to be close. Here's these special spots for you so you can be close. But you got legs, just park and walk.
Mm.
What's it gonna hurt? But that's that's that. And Frank, meanwhile, we do see what he's been up to. He goes and visits his wife's grave, which it's a really nice song that they're playing over that because you have this nice little scene of everyone sort of sitting and talking and I forget the name of the song. It was stuck in my head earlier, but
Is it Eddie Vedder?
It might have been. It kind of sounds like him. Yeah.
I thought maybe because like he was sort of doing those really slow like covers a while back.
Yeah, but but he goes and he's sitting there and he's basically visiting his family's graves. And we find out what he talks to them about, and when we get to the next episode.
Nice. Is that a sound
Yes.
effect or?
Oh no, that's actually my ringtone on my phone.
That's cool.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
The one thing I'm beginning to see is much like The Dark Knight. This isn't a season about the Punisher. This is a season about Russo, and I'm really digging. Like they're building this moment up where he finds out like who he is. His whole question has been like this scattered identity, putting the pieces back together. Who am I? And this big piece of it, like, oh my God, my best friend is shooting at me. Why? Am I really that terrible of a person? I wish I hadn't seen the second episode yet so I could still be excited about it, being how that goes. But that's what it is. But, I thought there'd be more. But in any case, I thought this was a really good job of at least letting us climb that hill.
And, I do like, and you're right, this is very much about Russo finding himself. Although, again, like I say, what he finds, he gets to the top of the hill and he realizes, oh, I'm a horrible human being.
I wish they did more with that.
Yeah, no, but maybe he's okay with that. Well, that's the thing. It's like, as I said, even if he gets back to factory default settings, it's still going to be a horrible human being. It was still a sociopath when he went in, and he was a sociopath when he comes out. And
I guess we'll get to it in the next episode. But I want to get into that.
Okay. So in the meantime, Mozz, if people would like to reach out to you and talk to you about all the wonders that are Punisher and the upcoming Jessica Jones cast coming up, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And if you would like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Mozz and Poz once did back in the day, you can talk to me about Punisher, about Jessica Jones, or as me and Mozz also do on a weekly basis, the Nuff Said broadcast over there on Southgate Media for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog. That's all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter so I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other things when I can, but I won't be able to do tonight because we're actually recording Superconnectivity tonight at 8 at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Associar. Look for the two E's in the middle.
Ding.
For quality. Dear penitents, you have received your punishments just as they are, and you may go forth and sin no more. But when you sin, please return for your next serving of just punishments.